Hello and welcome to another video. Thank you for watching and supporting my channel. In this video I'm going to talk to you about the reasons you should vote yes in the upcoming referendum. When I say that, I should explain first of all, I'm not here to tell you how to vote, because I'll make a second video that's going to explain the reasons why you should vote no. Before I do that, a couple of things to explain. First of all, the images that you see in this podcast with pictures, as my grandson calls it, are not mine. I found them just by Googling various things. I have not intentionally infringed anyone's copyright, and if I've misused somebody's image, I apologise. I just use them for illustrative purposes while I talk about this particular subject. The second thing to be clear about is that, as I said, I'm not here to tell you how to vote, just that you should vote, and that you should make sure you write yes or no on the ballot paper. Ticks do count, crosses do not, so that you are clear about what you mean, just write the word yes or no. The other thing for me to say is that I don't know or have lived an Aboriginal person's life. I have not lived in a remote community anywhere in Australia, and what I know about Aboriginal people and Torres Strait Islander people and their lives are what I've read on newspapers and magazines, what I've seen on television news reports and documentaries and so on. So I couldn't by any means say that I know anything about their lives other than what I've been told by other people. Now, let's talk about the referendum. The government wants to change the Constitution of Australia to say that there should be now a body to be called the Voice that will speak to the Parliament, the government. Those are two separate bodies, although the government obviously is part of the Parliament, and the senior public service about matters related to the lives of First Nations Australians or Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. They say that they want this into Constitution because in the past there have been similar bodies and they've been set up by one government, and when there's been a change of government to the other team, they've abolished it. So they're saying if it's in the Constitution, it can't be abolished, it'll be there permanently and it'll do its job. I guess the biggest reason why the people supporting the yes case say you should vote yes is because it'll give you a good feeling. It'll show that we're a good nation, in that we do care about the outcomes and life of our First Nations people, of the people who've lived in this Australia for 60,000 years or so and had a perfectly fine life, an organised society, a different organisation to what we're used to, but an organised society for all of those years up until 1788 when white people arrived here. And they would say, the yes supporters, that since 1788, various governments and other bodies have been making laws, rules and regulations for Aboriginal people, about Aboriginal people, to tell them what to do, where to do it, who to do it with, and when they can do it, without ever consulting the Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people. The Voice would be that sort of body. It would consult with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, it would listen to them, and it would report what they say to the Parliament or to the government, or it would consult with public servants and say, if you're going to implement this policy, we think this is how it will work. Now, I guess one of the things that's important to understand at this point is that this body is a consultative body that will provide, or can provide, advice to the Parliament, the government and senior public servants. Provide advice simply means that the government gets all sorts of reports and advice every day from all sorts of bodies. Some of it accepts all of it and says, thank you for telling us that. We were unaware of that problem and now we're going to do something about it. Sometimes it says, thank you for telling us about that problem. We're going to do some things about this, but not everything you asked for. And sometimes they get advice and they say, thank you for telling us about that. We were unaware that's a problem. We still don't think it's a problem and we're not going to do anything about it. And so the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Voice will be exactly the same. It will provide advice to the Parliament, to the government, to the public service, and any or all of those bodies can accept some or all or none of the advice and say, well, this is what we're going to do. Now, it would seem foolish to establish such a body and then not take notice of them, but there will be times when they say, well, we think what we're doing is a better idea. or we think this is a better way to do things than what you're suggesting. But the principle behind this body is that it will provide this sort of advice. It is saying to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, your voices, your opinions, your ideas, your thoughts, they matter. You know what's best for your people. You know what's going to work best for a group of people in a remote community in far northwest New South Wales or in far north Queensland or in the outback of the Northern Territory. We public servants in Canberra or we politicians in Canberra don't know those places because we haven't been there. We don't know the problems on the ground there. You do, and you know, or you will know better than us what works, and so we will listen to your advice. That's the purpose of the body. And so it is important that we see that the body, the voice, when it's established, if the referendum is passed, will do that sort of thing, and that's how it will work. Now, the key thing here is that in order for a referendum to pass, the Constitution as it exists at the moment says it needs to be a majority of people in a majority of states. So that means 4 out of the 6 states have to approve it, and the majority of people who in those 4 out of the 6 states have to approve it. Otherwise, it's not going to be successful. So it's a double majority, as it's called, and therefore many referendums that have been put to the Australian people, 44 of them, I think, over the years, and only 8 have been successful. Well, I hope I've given you some better understanding of how this referendum is going to work and why you should consider voting yes. Thank you for watching and listening. I hope you're better informed about what it is that's happening, and it helps to inform your decision.